Hey there, gamers. DreamcastGuy here. Today we're talking about Xbox because at this point, I do truly believe that the Xbox brand, the Xbox idea, is permanently, completely dead forever. And the reason I say that is because for the last couple of years, Xbox keeps saying it's not about exclusive games. It's not about console sales. It's not about that. It's just about Game Pass. Xbox is actually Game Pass. It doesn't matter if you play it on streaming. It doesn't matter if you play it on PC. As long as you have Game Pass, you've got Xbox. But now, well, yesterday, they pretty much doubled the price of Game Pass, and the entire internet instantly unsubscribed. In fact, even the biggest content creators, the biggest Xbox YouTubers and podcasters and writers and leakers, and everybody is just basically saying, it's my job to talk about Xbox, and I'm done with Xbox. But I wanted to break this down and take a look at like 50 different tweets, because at this point, people are not just unsubbing, they're proudly unsubbing. And I do feel like that is a sign that this is the end of the end. But let's get into it. Hi, hope you're having a great day. And if you could, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. So I just wanted to start with the fact that, honestly, going from $20 a month to $30 a month, this has got to be one of the biggest subscription fee jump prices I have ever seen in my life. This is such a 50% price increase instantly. It's not just disrespectful, it's counterintuitive. When games cost $60 or $70, right? Why the heck would you not just buy that? Look, Xbox isn't exactly cranking out bangers, right? They've had a pretty good year. I thought Doom the Dark Ages was all right. Grounded 2 seems to have its fan base. It's very, very happy. Sea of Thieves update 58 or whatever the hell. You know, that kind of stuff definitely has an audience. But at this point, I'd rather buy those games. I'd rather just buy a game and actually own it than pay to rent it. And I just keep seeing stuff like this. I've been a Game Pass subscriber since launch, an Xbox supporter since launch. $30 is too damn high for Game Pass, and it might be my tipping point. I have seen this a million times ever. Thank you. You have successfully canceled your subscription. I have seen this a trillion times over. In fact, so many people are canceling their Game Pass subscription, it has crashed the website. When you click it, it actually has to like do a little login token to unsubscribe you. That site is crashed, and it was down for about 90 minutes. It is just wild. Look at this. One of the top Google trends, like yesterday, one of the top gaming search results was, how do I cancel my Xbox Game Pass? Look at that straight up line. This is what, even people like this, Brad Sams is not only an Xbox YouTuber, he is a leaker that actually originally was the guy who leaked the Xbox Series S. This dude, his job is to talk about Xbox. He has been talking about Xbox for 10 years, and even he is like, yep, just not worth it. But I also thought his follow-up tweet, I thought this was a great point. Seems almost certain they will never hear the exact Game Pass subscriber count going forward. These prices won't increase the user base. Now, let's just talk about this, which is that Xbox has already been very vague on their success for the last couple of years. Because if you talk to Nintendo, if you talk to PlayStation, they'll straight up say, PS5s, we've sold 75 million. Nintendo Switches, we've sold 150 million. You know, they'll talk about, hey, we've sold this many tens of millions of games and stuff like that. Whereas Xbox, they've always just been like, tee-hee, we've got a lot of Game Pass. Tee-hee, it's really profitable. Okay, well then, if it's so profitable, why the heck are you closing studios, doing mass layoffs? Honestly, of all the firings, Microsoft has been the tippity top of studio closures. So the fact that they always keep saying publicly, yeah, we're super profitable with Game Pass, buddy, I just don't believe you. I think you guys are lying, or you're fudging the numbers somehow, because you would not be jacking the price up on something that's this profitable, right? But here was one from Jez Corden. Obviously, Jez Corden, this guy has written literally thousands of articles. I'm not going to say defending Xbox, but very pro Xbox. I'm not going to claim this guy as a shill. He's been very openly critical, but I definitely think he's a guy who enjoys his Xbox. He runs Xbox podcasts and stuff, right? So the fact that he is basically saying this, a lot of the most viral tweets about today's Game Pass news are from people who never played it, which this is just not true. There's tons of tweets from Xbox YouTubers and stuff giving up on it. But if you're actually a current user, how do you feel about it? I don't think Game Pass Ultimate is worth it for me anymore. Microsoft had to know they were alienating a lot of people here. Genuinely did not expect to ever unsubscribe from Game Pass Ultimate. Today, Microsoft says it's not for me. That's fine. They can do whatever they want. Look at that. He is literally unsubbed from Game Pass. How wild is that? It is just wild that even the biggest, most influential people, the Call of Duty people, those people that literally you think, oh, Xbox bought Call of Duty. Well, maybe some people at least will get Game Pass specifically to play Call of Duty instead of paying $70 or $90 for some deluxe edition. There's a certain audience that go, yeah, maybe those people would buy it. Nope. Even the COD bros are saying, nope, screw you. Absolutely not worth it. Look at this. Paul Tassi of Forbes.com. Not kidding when I say I might actually cancel my Game Pass this time. I'm not buying the platform content there in any way to justify the $360 a year. Oh yeah, so here's the big thing. If you pay for the Nintendo Switch online service, that's $20 a year for basic online, $60 a year if you want all the bells and whistles, $60 a year, that's how you get like all the retro games, the Game Boy Advance games and stuff like that, right? Well, that's $60 for the entire year. If you're trying to get PlayStation Plus Premium, I think that's like $180 a year. There is not a yearly discount deal. There is not a discount deal at all for Game Pass. You can only pay for it month by month, meaning that if you're trying to get it for an entire year, it is $360. Let that sink in. When the Xbox Series S came out, remember that's like the weaker powered of the current gen tech, that was $300 at launch. They want you to essentially rebuy the console every year in perpetuity forever and ever and ever. And people just aren't going to put up with that. I think that straight up, we're hitting this absolute breaking point. I've said this. I do think that people are getting more broke, obviously, right? You could see the statistics. People are rising costs, rent's going up, food's going up. People are broke as hell. And if you tell them, hey, your ability to not own games, your rental service now costs $360 a year, a lot of people are going to basically be like, brother, I'm not going to play games then. I'm going to play free-to-play stuff. I'm going to play Fortnite. I'm going to play Marvel Rivals, or I'm going to play retro games, or I'm going to buy a Steam Deck and just emulate stuff all day, right? A lot of people keep calling it the battle of the backlog. Even GameStop got a dunk in on them. Come on, GameStop, you still suck. You sell crappy Funko Pops most of the time, but Game Pass, $30 every month, own nothing. GameStop, buy once, own forever. Math isn't that hard. Look at this, bro. If you're getting dunked on by GameStop, also, I got to admit how weird it is that GameStop sells Xbox stuff. I mean, maybe the number is so low, they're not even worried about a dunk at this point. Gosh. Here was an interesting one. Mr. Maddie. Love this guy a lot. Obviously, a big Xbox YouTuber, or sorry, more of like a Fallout YouTuber. Now he covers everything, but he started as like a Fallout, more Xbox focused. Obviously, this guy is huge YouTuber, huge respect. I like Maddie a lot. I've had a chance to hang out with him, talk with him a couple times. Very nice guy. But he has always been very open-minded to the success of Xbox. I feel like even when they messed stuff up, he would see the bright side and kind of think, okay, all part of the plan. And he said this, I'm basically out of words for Xbox at this point. With 2 hardware price hikes this year, a failed attempt to try and put games at $80, going multi-plat, and now a major game price bump, they've eliminated quite literally every competitive advantage or bit of appeal they ever had. The whole idea of Game Pass originally, 5-6 years ago, I think I was more open-minded to it because I think the concept of a Netflix of games, on paper, it makes sense. The whole original premise of it, when Game Pass originally came out, it was like $12 a month. We've already gone up ridiculous amounts since then, but I always like the idea of, okay, I'm paying, $80 a year. $80 a year to play a bunch of cool new games, right? That's nice. But it was also the thing of like, all right, I like the idea that developers don't feel rushed. A lot of developers originally were saying that they liked the idea of Game Pass because, oh yeah, there's not this deadline. I don't have to have pre-order bonuses. I don't have to give you a vertical slice. As long as it goes onto Game Pass, people will download it, people will play it, people will love it, right? But it turned out that that just wasn't true. A lot of people, it seems like, weren't playing Game Pass very much. Game Pass numbers are pretty low. It just seems like, just in general, top to bottom, the developers on Game Pass, the gamers using Game Pass, it just felt like it was slowly getting hollowed out and getting worse and worse and worse while getting more expensive. This is how we play now. Wild messaging, play anywhere, implied choice and freedom. This is how we play now is an imposed inevitability, heading towards playtime's over when the Xbox brand sunsets in 2027. The worst thing about these sub prices constantly ratcheting up is that the prices of the essential plans keep ballooning out of control. $120 a year just to have online play. That's it. Moving day one party games to only being ultimate is such a bait and switch too. This is my thing. Even Call of Duty titles are not on the premium anymore. My thing is this, more than anything else, is that as games keep getting more expensive, I'm a bit afraid about experiments like this, where I almost think the concept of Game Pass, it was a fun test, but it just clearly didn't work. I do think that premium games are still, in my opinion, premium games are still the way. I think buying a nice $60 game, buying a $70 game on a physical disc, a physical cartridge with the day one patch actually on the disc, something I could put in and play forever, to me, that is still essential. Physical gaming with a physical price, actual longevity. I don't know. I feel like that stuff's important. This push towards always online, rent to own garbage. I feel like this feels dystopian. Let's face it, Xbox is dead. This is the end of Xbox. And anybody that wants to try and deny it, I mean, it's pretty obvious that this is the end. But I guess the question is now, what does Microsoft do? Do they sell these games off? Do they try and splinter the studios into little independent things? Do they just become Xbox Games Publishing and they just keep putting games out on PlayStation? At this point, I think everybody's about to get fired. Probably starting with Phil Spencer. But these have just been some off-the-cuff thoughts on how do you feel about Xbox right now? And how do you sort of feel about the implosion of Game Pass? I mean, I guess I called this years and years ago, but it's still weird the day is here. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep dreaming.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.